With over 19,000 new infections yesterday, the country logged its highest single day increase in cases since the pandemic began. As cases continue to rise, more than 50 areas in Quezon City are now under special concern lockdowns. Without region-wide ECQs, residents affected by granular lockdowns will not be receiving any ayuda. Medical responders in Kabul are finding themselves in a dire situation, with the WHO saying they're in no position to help. And find out the best and worst places to be in as the Delta variant continues to sweep the planet. Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know to jumpstart your Sunday. I'm Riza Diaz. The health department has reported over 19,400 cases on Saturday, the highest single day tally since the onset of the pandemic. This brought the country's total cases to over 1.9 million, 140,000 of which are active cases. The DOH warns that cases will still rise in the coming days. The agency also noted that 202 duplicates were removed from the total case count. 167 new fatalities were also recorded yesterday, pushing the death toll to past 33,000. Some 76 cases that were previously tagged as recovered have been reclassified as deaths. On the other hand, the total recoveries rose to 1,760,000, with over 19,000 new survivors logged on Saturday. Now, out of the 71,600 total tests conducted, 27.5% yielded positive results. Now, as cases continue to rise, over 50 areas in Quezon City are under a special concern lockdown. Among the areas under lockdown are two compounds along Robert Kennedy Street in Barangay Bahay Toro and Cotabato Street in Barangay Alicia. The compound in Barangay Bahay Toro will be under lockdown until September 10, affecting 20 families. 3 COVID-19 cases were reported in this area. Even authorized persons outside of residence or APORs are prohibited from going out. 25 residents will also remain inside their homes in Barangay Alicia after 5 infections were detected in the compound. The Quezon City LGU expects more areas to be placed under a special concern lockdown should there be a clustering of cases in these compounds or barangays. A reminder from the government, there will be no cash aid or ayuda for residents affected by granular lockdowns. In an interview with us here on One News, MMDA Chairman Benhur Abalos said that with all the expenses of said lockdowns should be shouldered rather by LGUs, it will be difficult to provide cash aid. He added that if worse comes to worst, the mayors will have to seek help from the national government, which is also not obligated to provide ayuda unless a region or city is under ECQ.
Fortunately, we have no ayuda for this. No? With the granular lockdown, the burden is already shifted from the national to LGU. We must remember right now that the LGU is already shouldering all the expenses, not only for the granular lockdowns, but likewise for the isolation.
Meanwhile, in Cagayan, the municipality of Baggao is calling on the health department to help amid their worsening COVID situation. Speaking to us here on One News, Baggao Mayor Joan Dunuan said that they are currently that currently they only have two doctors. Worse, their assigned doctor to the barrio was pulled out by the health department after testing positive for COVID-19. She said this left the municipality with just one doctor amid their increasing coronavirus cases. Dunuan calls on the health department to replace their doctor to the barrio to beef up the area's fight against the Delta variant.
We are needing more doctors right now. Ito po yun sa talagang isang napakalaking problem po namin right now. If ipupull out po ng DOH, si DTTB namin, siyempre po yung burden mapupunta na po sa nag-iisa na naming municipal health officer.
Around 7 months after the country started its inoculation drive, vaccinated Filipinos will get to receive digital vaccine certificates starting next month. Gerard De La Peña with the details.
This is how the country's digital vaccination certificates will look like. It carries the holder's personal information, the brand and lot number of the vaccine used, and the place and date of vaccination. Everything will pop up upon scanning this QR code. Most importantly, this certificate will be recognized abroad. It will be launched in September, but initially exclusive to Metro Manila residents and overseas Filipinos. The Information and Technology Department said it would take about 2 to 3 weeks before it can be rolled out nationwide.
Ang pinaka-critical na nakikita namin yung data readiness. Allow us to have adequate preparation for the education kasi katuwang natin sila.
One consideration are far-flung areas with poor connection. But for some lawmakers, the DICT scramble is a bit too late.
Is why are we playing catch-up? Kung umpisa pa lang, alam naman natin parating na ang mga bakuna, why did we not prepare for this as early as last year? Been calling for DICT for a vaccination certificate or vaccination card.
The DICT said it first had to wait for a sizable part of the population to be vaccinated first.
Mas kailangan niya ng datos na may first dose, second dose, anong brand, kailan tinurok. So may mga dagdag na mga variances, no?
But a lawmaker questioned as to why a certificate is needed when yellow cards are being recognized in 196 countries.
If a yellow card is already recognized internationally, then bakit meron pang Vax Cert PH? So is Vax Cert PH a support to yellow card?
Habang ipinopropagate pa lang po ang paggamit sa ibang bansa, kailangan you have to recognize both. And I think the countries also recognize. So for now, dalawa muna.
As the implementation of digital vaccine certificates is still being ironed out, the Quarantine Bureau will provide express lanes for OFWs who wish to avail of yellow cards for deployment. For News 5, Gerard De La Peña, we are One News.
The World Health Organization can no longer help responders in health facilities in Kabul, according to the United Nations mission in Afghanistan. The WHO said that they have staff in all 34 provinces in Afghanistan to monitor the health situation there. To add, 97% of around 2,200 health facilities remain open and functioning. However, these facilities are rapidly running out of medical supplies, and the WHO is not in a position to help them.
The World Health Organization pointed out that while tens of thousands of vulnerable Afghans are being evacuated through the air operations at Kabul airport, millions of vulnerable Afghans will remain behind, and we have a collective responsibility to assist them. WHO said it has a staff in all 34 provinces across the country monitoring the health situation.
The Delta variant has been challenging the COVID resiliency of countries all over the world. Previous success models like New Zealand, Israel, and the US have plummeted down the list of best places to be in amid the pandemic. Meanwhile, 5 countries in the bottom list are from Southeast Asia. This report from Bloomberg tells us more.
Rachel, what are the rankings for this month? Tell us. Right, that's exactly right. I think in August we're seeing how quickly things have changed, and in some ways, people are saying the Delta variant is really a whole new virus, and it's just changed that chessboard all over again. We've seen places like New Zealand, which is #1 for such a long time, plummet down the rankings. They've gone into one of the world's strictest lockdowns because of the infiltration of Delta. At the same time, we see places like Israel and the US, who are really leading that reopening, vaccination rollouts. They've also plummeted because of record surges of the Delta variant. So pretty much every model, every approach that has had some impact on the virus has been challenged by Delta.
At least can we trust that those highly vaccinated countries are doing a bit better?
So that is a concern, but one of the most optimistic scenarios is in the Netherlands, which is ranked #2. They saw that Delta wave go up, but it came down with very, very low fatalities, and it didn't really disrupt reopening because vaccination maintained a shield against that spread of Delta. I think that's the best case scenario for places like the US and Israel right now as they deal with that Delta surge.
Of course, there were some countries that had a low ranking at the start of the pandemic, and they're still low now. What do we know about those places that are really struggling?
Right. I mean, we're seeing the epicenter of the global outbreak really shift from regions from Latin America previously, and now where it's really centered is Southeast Asia. At the bottom of the ranking, all bottom 5 are Southeast Asian countries. This is a region now that has the highest per capita death toll in the world. You're seeing places like Indonesia really surge beyond 50,000 cases a day. In last place is Malaysia, where the economic growth forecast has been halved for the year. So these are places that will continue to struggle because rich countries are just holding on to that supply of vaccines, especially now with the desire for boosters. We're going to see that inequality continue to worsen this year.
And even so, we have seen some people avoiding vaccinations. One of the concerns has been the risk of blood clots from the vaccines. What do we know now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the irony really is in that some of these richer places, there's so many vaccines and some people don't want to take them. What we know is that there was a latest study from the UK, which really has had a massive vaccination drive. Out of 10 million people who've received the AstraZeneca vaccine, only about 60 developed the risk of blood clots. That's compared to 10 million with COVID. That number of getting blood clots is about 12,000. So we know the risk of COVID is in every way much worse for your health than getting a vaccination.
And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later again at 10 in the morning as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play app. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.